The Saskatchewan Urban Municipalities Association's annual convention has wrapped up, closing out 4 days of discussions, debates, and collaboration among municipal leaders from across the province. From larger urban centers to smaller communities, the focus this year was crystal clear: working together to build stronger, more sustainable municipalities for the future. The convention once again provided valuable space for delegates to connect, share ideas, and tackle the challenges they have in common. Key issues on the agenda this year included infrastructure needs, provincial funding, regional cooperation, the long-term viability of smaller communities, and access to healthcare, topics that continue to shape conversations in council chambers across Saskatchewan. Following the convention, we spoke with SUMA President Randy Goulden about her key takeaways from this year's gathering, the direction members have set through newly passed policies, and what lies ahead as municipalities reach almost the halfway point of its 2024-2028 mandate. We also asked about the overall mood among municipal leaders as they look towards the future of their municipalities and the province. That conversation coming up next on Municipal Affairs.
You stepped up to serve your community. Now take your leadership to the next level. Introducing GEMS, Governance Essentials for the Municipal Sector, a practical, Saskatchewan-based training program designed for council members and those who support them. Whether newly elected or a seasoned leader, GEMS helps sharpen the skills that matter most: decision-making, accountability, financial stewardship, infrastructure oversight, and navigating the complex realities of municipal governance. This isn't your typical classroom. GEMS is flexible, online, and built for busy people. You don't need a university degree, just a commitment to good governance. For some, it's been years since taking a course. That's okay. GEMS is designed to build confidence and knowledge. There is a short assessment, but it's there to reinforce your learning, not to trip you up. If cost is a concern, talk to your administrator, as there may be grants available to offset some of the costs. Because when local leaders grow, entire communities benefit. GEMS, because good governance isn't just important, it's essential.
From the smallest villages to the largest cities, every day your urban municipality supports you. The water that travels from tap to sewer, the emergency services that keep you safe, the parks, libraries, and rinks that you enjoy. Our cities, towns, villages, resort villages, and northern municipalities are urban hubs bringing people together. We are urban. Celebrate your municipality as part of the urban family.
President, thank you so much for sitting down with me and talking about 4 fantastic days in beautiful downtown adjacent, not really downtown, but downtown Regina for the annual General SUMA Convention. As president, how did you feel this year's event went?
Well, it was a wonderful way to get everyone together, and for our federal and our provincial partners to hear from all our leaders across the province. And it was interesting because what I found this year is that the voices were firm, and the voices came from all our membership. So I heard questions at dialogues and in the hallways and at Bear Pit from resort villages, from the towns, from the cities, and from the north. And I was very appreciative of that.
Looking at the big picture of what you were trying to accomplish at this year's event with the sort of background of foundation and urban strength, do you feel stronger leaving Regina and heading back into individual municipalities after those 4 days?
I certainly do. And, we had some goals that are set out when we go into something like the convention. And you said foundations of urban strength. So with that, we were looking at shaping policy. We were looking at, strengthening our leaderships and connections. And I think we can check mark every one of those because I think that really happened. But more and more, our voices are getting stronger. And I think what is very important is that, when our board does the advocacy and when we're talking with our the other orders of government, we're bringing this advocacy. But what happens at convention is they see the examples. They hear from where it's impacting the most, on the ground in our communities. And it's interesting. When I asked Premier Scott Moe after his presentation to our membership on Monday, and acknowledged all the work they're doing, bringing industry and business in. And I asked him a question. I think he thought he would, in fact, he was off stage already when I brought him back. And I asked him, so this is wonderful, bringing this in, but our smaller urban municipalities need help because we don't have, dedicated economic development officers, people, resources. Um, so how are you going to do that? And um, he spoke for a bit and then acknowledged that we need to discuss that. So you can bet there's a list, a to-do list for Premier Moe on our urban agendas.
I want to just pick up on what you said there because in the conversations I was having with a mayor from a resort village or even a village, one of the big concerns that I was hearing, and probably you were hearing as well, is about the viability of our smaller communities across Saskatchewan. When you look at that foundation of urban strength, do resort villages and villages have a spot, do you believe, in building that foundation of urban strength?
Most certainly. And those are the discussions we've been having because I'm sure you are aware, as our members have been aware, there has been a change in how communities in transition have been funded. So those communities, those are the ones that have made the decision that they are going to move on, that they can no longer be viable. In the past, they could only move on with rural municipalities. We have advocated for if there's another urban municipality in the area that's willing to do that, they could move with them. In the past, there has been no funding. The funding was only available for rural municipalities. So that change has been made. But saying that, I think there needs to be more assistance, more work done with our smaller municipalities, resort villages, uh, as a good example, but perhaps even small towns. We don't know that. So maybe we need to do more of an assessment to know where they are and then provide support there before they get to where they can no longer be viable and need to make that move, which we know we're hearing from rural municipalities. Those are some of the things that they're not capable of doing. They don't have the resources to do that. So there's work that needs to be done there, and I know that I'll have the help of our village caucus, which includes resort villages, to do that.
Looking at one of the key takeaways that I took from this year's event, because I was an observer as well as talking to some of your members, was, and it's a key word that you and I have talked about over and over again around collaboration. Collaboration of not just municipalities working together, but municipalities working alongside their First Nation counterparts as well. When you were speaking to municipal leaders, did you get a sense that delegates now understand that collaboration is not something that is an afterthought? It needs to be on the forefront of any discussion, whether that be infrastructure, healthcare, or even service levels.
Well, Chris, thank you for that because you've brought up a couple things I'd love to comment on. Collaboration overall. And we heard the Premier and Minister Schmaltz, our Minister of Government Relations, talk about the Team Saskatchewan that went to Ottawa to advocate on behalf of all of Saskatchewan. So we had we had President Bill Huber there, we had cities there, we had members of our SUMA board representing all of SUMA, and we had the minister, we had Minister Schmaltz, and we had Minister Cheveldayoff that were there. And what the take back from that has been incredible. And we have commitment that that's going to happen again. So that's That's a good step in the collaboration with our other orders of government. But it also should be looked at our own urban municipalities and how we collaborate. And I can say that working with our sister organization, SARM, we do that all the time. You saw President Bill Huber in attendance. I was at the SARM convention, and there's a great deal of dialogue that's going back and forth. Will we agree on absolutely everything? Probably not. And if we do, that's great. But maybe then we're not exploring some of the things that we should be exploring. So I'm looking forward to carry that on. And then you mentioned the First Nations, because I think that is very, very essential and critical to the work we need to do in this province. And that is why SUMA, back in October, signed a memorandum of understanding with the Office of the Treaty Commissioner and with Dr. Walker. The work we're doing, we see Dr. Walker doing that work. We see former Mayor of Saskatoon, Charlie Clark, working to that. And we know Charlie's, I guess, total support of collaboration. I mean, he is Mr. Collaboration. So we're looking forward to that. But what we're hearing from our urbans and from our First Nations is they're looking to work together on many things. One of them is economic development. So there again, we've got some opportunities to do that, but it's everybody sitting down together. This business of silos, and you heard that term a lot a few years ago, but it was mainly looked at for other orders of government, provincial and federal. But I look at that as the partnerships that we need to work with. We've got some silos around urbans, around rurals, First Nations. I don't think that that's on anymore. We've got to work together.
One of the big, I wouldn't say big moments, but one of the moments that I saw, and it kind of kicked off the entire SUMA convention, was all three levels of government were at the opening ceremonies. You had municipal leaders, you had provincial leaders, and you had federal representation. This is the first time, and I asked you this in the press conference, but I'm going to ask you again. This is the first time I think I've seen SUMA have federal representatives at that event. How important was it to have all three levels of government there? And do you take away the fact that federal representatives were willing to come to SUMA this year because of those collaborative talks that you had last year in Ottawa?
And Chris, just to add, because I liked your observation on that, but just to add, we did have, Secretary of State Belanger there, but we also had representation from our Saskatchewan Conservative Party of Canada. We had the chair of that caucus, Jeremy Patzer. So I think that was really important too. And just having all of us talking about SUMA's priorities, and we heard this from all our caucuses. All our caucuses came together on our priorities. And I think if I do talk in my sleep, Chris, these are the things I say. SUMA's priorities are infrastructure, healthcare, and public safety. And the nuances around that from the differing sizes of our municipalities. And I heard both, MP Patzer and Secretary of State Belanger in their opening remarks talk about that. And I also heard in those opening statements, and I heard this from our Lieutenant Governor, Her Honor McIntyre, about working together, stronger together. And that's key. And that's how you build those foundations in our urban municipalities.
Now, you mentioned a buzzword that I have to pick up on just for a second here, if you don't mind, President, and that is healthcare. Now, this is the first time I've been at a SUMA convention where healthcare was more prominent than I had probably heard in the past. More and more municipal leaders are talking it around their council chambers. We saw some council members even question the ministers in the quote unquote bear pit session around healthcare.
Yeah.
What does SUMA take with those discussions forward? How does SUMA ensure that healthcare, as one of the three pillars that you mentioned, continues to be on the forefront of this provincial government's conversations? Because municipal leaders are the front lines, and the front lines are hurting right now.
Yeah, and the front lines. So, Chris, that's really important because the front lines are urbans. If you look at our Cities Act and our Municipal Act, nowhere do you see that municipalities are responsible for healthcare. But we're hearing it constantly, as you said. I do not go to a meeting anywhere that I don't hear that. And when I talked about the nuances from the different sectors of our membership, you hear it's the same healthcare, but you may hear it's healthcare professionals recruitment, retention. You're hearing closures of emergency rooms. You're hearing ambulance service. It's not there when you need it. There's wait time. So it just brings into to play everything in the system. It's not one thing. And so I'm happy to hear, and we will work with our provincial government on their patient first plan that they have. Some of the things I've chatted with our members about having more of an incentive to have nurses go into nurse practitioners. We even heard that perhaps there needs to be some incentives for psychiatric nurses to do that with the role that they play. So we're hearing some of the things out of that plan that the provincial government has. But what I'm hearing from our members is the proof is in the pudding. They want to see results. They don't want to see closures. They don't want to see ambulance, somebody's hurt and they're waiting an hour and a half or 4 hours. And we heard, our ministers heard exact examples of when that happened. The other thing, and I don't know if you've noticed, but we're hearing more discussions around daycares. And the funding that's coming for daycares, the $10 a day, and applaud for that, wonderful. But we're hearing that it's not working on the ground in daycares, and if you know the counselor from the town of Cardiff, Greg Walls, who is on our SUMA town sector caucus. He very specifically addressed his community, and within a year, their daycare will be closing. So it will put people that work there out of work, but it will also impact everyone across the spectrum of all the jobs. And then he talked about three more in the surrounding community. That is not a good situation. So daycare, when I first started my work in municipal, in the municipal governance, that was not something that rolled off our
Yeah.
tongues.
You bring up a good, it's not segue, but you bring up a good sort of overview of the next question.
Mhm.
We are at the halfway point of this term in office for municipal leaders. They
Yep,
just got elected in 2024. They're up for re-election in 2028.
yep,
I got a sense when I was speaking to municipal leaders, there's a lot of burnout. There's a lot of challenges that are facing the municipal sector right now. A lot of things that are not in the municipal jurisdiction that
yep.
our municipalities are dealing with. How do you view the state of the municipal sector in the province of Saskatchewan after this year's event?
It was really interesting that when we had our kickoff to the convention, we still had quite a few new people when we asked for the hands up. So, we always see turnover, and we noticed that the last municipal election. And most definitely, there's going to be turnover again, and that's why I think it is absolutely essential that we continue with the training we have with the MLDP program. Now, we're doing a complete review of that because in the past, it has been, a program that we work with SUMA, SARM, and provincial government. Unfortunately, SARM made the determination to no longer be part of it. So SUMA and the provincial government, we're doing a total review of this so that we can offer the very best training that we can to our municipal leaders. And we're looking at different ways to deliver it. It's always good to have the face to face, but we also know, Chris, and you will have noticed it, that this is not although we work full time with our roles, it's not full time remuneration.
Yeah.
And so there's struggles there too. People are doing a lot in their communities, and I thank them for that. So we're looking at different ways to deliver some of these programs. But I think some of the what we have been going out with in the past, that has to change. And that's what we're going to be changing. So yes, we need to offer training in governance and finances and ECDEV and planning and all those essential things. But I think we need to look at work-life balance.
Yeah.
I think we need to look at advocacy, a little more around advocacy. And many of our small communities, they don't get the opportunity to meet one-on-one with the ministers, but they can with their MLAs. They can with other neighboring municipalities. So I think if we can bring more of that in, more of the discussion, so that everyone feels that they're playing a role, not just in their community, but in the province. And I know we all do. You do. I do. I sometimes I going, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can say this again. And then, something will happen. I'll talk with someone. I'll sit in a training program and I come home like I did from our convention, Chris. On the way home, I am making notes on my phone as I'm driving, hands-free, right? I'm making notes of all the things I need to do coming out of convention, all the people I want to touch base with that I met. So, as my role as president, if some of those people are feeling frustrated, exhausted, contact somebody, contact your chair of your caucus, contact me, contact Jean-Marc in the office, because I think it's all of our role to work together on that.
Looking at the future and what comes next. I know policies were debated, policies were passed. SUMA kind of has its marching orders of where
Yep.
members want to see SUMA
Yep.
advocate. As president, are you looking forward to this next year with the sort of renewed mandate of what members are looking for from SUMA?
Well, we renewed our resolution policies and how we do resolutions, and I think they've worked very effectively. So we have 11 resolutions, but on our books, because we do it on a 3-year rolling, we have 42. Many of them are the same issues or break down into that. But the other thing that's coming too, Chris, we celebrated 1 year of the new governance that we have, and it was fabulous talking with people. In that is written in, and we insisted it be written in, that we would have a 3-year review. But we're not sitting back. We have initiated a review already because you and I both know that you just don't wait till there is something going on. You work at it all the time. So we've got that started. We're talking with our caucus members. We're talking with our members. We'll be doing it at our road show that happens. So we're working on that. So that's invigorated me because I've seen these caucus systems work, and I spoke with someone that I did not know 2 years ago, and that's Mayor McLaren from the village of Neville, population 72, as she says. And she is our village and resort village chair, and she is invigorated because she said doing this and doing the work she did at the convention, it pushed her outside of her normal working box. Like she is the chair of their fire department. She's the mayor, but yet she said this has really given her some invigoration to go out and do these things. So I'm going to have a conversation with her on Sunday just to dig deeper into that because I find her absolutely amazing. And what she brings to our board is amazing. And bringing, what's coming out of small communities, and she's got a grasp on it.
Before I let you go, one final question, and it's a big one. In one word, how would you describe the sense of what SUMA got from 4 days of collaboration, hallway meetings, provincial dialogues? How would you describe it in what? Okay, I'll give you one sentence or less.
Okay, I would describe it as energizing, and I think I can use that one word, and I'll elaborate. I think it's energizing for all of us. I think when you go back and you speak with your councils, and I've been getting texts and emails, people want to move forward. And, I think that's a very positive thing when you go back and say to your councils or your residents that are coming at us, we have a huge snowstorm in Yorkton and in Saskatchewan right now. It's still really storming in Yorkton. And as I was backing out of the driveway, one of my neighbors said, "Are we going to see plows?" So here we are, late April, still talking snow removal. And I said, "Yeah, I think so. See our main road here. That plow's been going out all night. Hopefully he'll get on our street, but if not, you know what? It's going to be plus 15 next week." So. I think it's energizing. It gives us some positive vibes, if you can still use that word, to go out and get our work done. But Chris, before we leave, I want to say thank you to you because our members love to talk with you. And can I just say something? You have been talking with our members, some of our smaller members. They've never had the opportunity to be interviewed. And that's what I heard. And now they're feeling great about being interviewed. They can't wait to be interviewed. With before it was going, "Oh, I don't know if I can do that." And now it's going, "Is Chris going to be here?" So thank you for that.
Well, I had a blast at this year's SUMA convention,
Yeah.
meeting with my first time some resort village mayors. So I am
Yeah.
so honored that I got to meet with some of them and chat to them about the issues because municipalities are not just big
Yeah.
cities, they are cities,
Yes.
towns, villages, and northern villages, and even resort villages.
Yeah.
President Goulden, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I always love our conversations. I know this is not the last one, but thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for doing this. And I look forward to seeing us on the road. And I promise I will not change my summer tires next time I come to Saskatchewan because I'm pretty sure I jinxed the entire province when I changed them before I left. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks for tuning in for another edition of Municipal Affairs. Now, this episode was brought to you in part by Johnson Shoyoma Graduate School of Public Policy. This is the show where we take a closer look at the people, the policies, and the practical decisions shaping local governments across Saskatchewan. Now, each episode is designed to dig beneath the headlines and bring forward real-world conversations about the challenges and, yes, opportunities facing municipalities of all sizes. Now, if today's discussion was useful or even thought-provoking, we encourage you to subscribe to the show. Leave us a review and share this episode with your colleagues, council members, and any municipal professional who cares about strong local governance. Visit crossbordernetwork.ca to learn about how you can join us on a future episode of Municipal Affairs and contribute to the national conversation on local governance. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and thanks again for tuning in to Municipal Affairs.